Let's wrap this up with some defensive streamers and then get to all of your guys' questions. And again, as we do, that thumbs up button is so greatly appreciated. Over 30 of you here with us. So awesome to have you here. But please do consider helping us out with that thumbs up button, whether you're catching the replay, whether you're here with us live. Get those questions in if you're here live. We'll be getting to them in about 3 minutes while I rip through some defensive streamers. For week 7, who are the top defenses you can stream? I got to start with the Jets, Jets, and I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth. Only 3% rostered. Over their last 3 weeks, they've gone 12, 9, and 20 fantasy points, including a recent smashing, spanking, destruction of the Green Bay Packers. I'm not a Jets fan. Obviously, I'm a Pats fan. But I love to see that. I love to see Aaron Rodgers, tail tucked between his legs, getting just hammered by the pathetic, hapless, or maybe not quite so, Jets at this point. This defense is genuinely good, I think. They are top 12 defense against both the pass and the run by any metric. And as mentioned, over the last 3 games, they are the second highest scoring defense, averaging 13.6 points per game in that span. They have 7 turnovers across those 3 games. They're outscoring their opponents 91-47. I think this defense is genuinely good. They just held Aaron Rodgers' Packers to 278 total yards and just 1 touchdown, sacking him 4 times, notching another takeaway, blocking a field goal and a punt. Like, the special teams are getting it done. Don't forget Robert Saleh. When he came over from the 49ers, was this defensive wizard that could just light things up. And the 49ers were an insane defense when he was leading the charge there. And now that he's finally got some talent, I mean, it's crazy to think that like 1 to 2 players can just flip a defense, given how much of a laughingstock they were last year. But you bring in Sauce Gardner. I mean, this guy is a genuine, probably a top 3 corner already as a rookie, getting lost in the sauce, just drowning number 1 opponents right now. Some good defensive line additions. Quinton Williams, just an absolute beast on there. He's talking about how they are just out to shock the world after this game. And all that. So painting a picture, this Jets defense is genuinely good. We've seen good stats, good production, and they are now coming into a matchup with the Broncos, the lowest scoring offense in the league. We've all been force-fed the Broncos in primetime. We all can see they fucking suck. So now we get a Jets defense that's surging, a Broncos offense that's surging the opposite direction, just completely tanking, and Russell Wilson might be out. They might be forced to start Brett Rypien, given that Russell Wilson's dealing with a brutal hamstring injury, apparently. Maybe that's his excuse, the classic Russell Wilson. I need an injection in my shoulder. I need a hamstring. Whatever excuse to freaking cover up whatever horrendous play is going on over there. But again, dead last in the league in scoring. I don't think Brett Rypien is going to come in here and help turn that around. I think this defense swallows the Broncos on the road here. My number 1 pickup by a mile. But let's say you miss on the Jets here. Again, 3% roster. They're going to be out there in your league. I say go get the Jets, bid $1 or $2. Make sure you get them. But if you miss on them, there's still some good options. Only 3% roster. The Arizona Cardinals. Sneaky doing a solid job. They're 12th in the NFL in terms of restricting offenses total yardage and 7th against the run. So a good run D here. They're actually playing okay defense, but the matchup's the big thing. Facing the Saints that have allowed 15 sacks. They've turned the ball over 13 times, which is tied for the most in the NFL. And they've given up the 6th most points to fantasy defenses. And that's with Andy Dalton kind of protecting the rock the last 2 weeks. When they were the best in terms of matchup was when Jameis Winston was playing. And now that Andy Dalton's dealing with a back injury, Winston's looking like he's back and ready to go. Turnover prone machine. How many interceptions did he have just a few seasons ago when he led the league in passing? He's right back to that, just slinging it and doesn't care who bad catches it type of mentality for Jameis Winston. And they're already, the Arizona defense, trending in the right direction with 2 12-plus point showings in their last 3 weeks. They held Seattle, a top 10 offense, every other week to just 19 points this last week. And the Saints offense, again, is absolutely abysmal. There will be no Michael Thomas, no Landry, tons of turnover opportunity here for Arizona. And it's Thursday night. We've just seen all those games smashing the unders. So big fan of the Cardinals. I really like the Dolphins as well on Sunday Night Football. They're a 7-point favorite. They're at home. And yeah, they've been very, very underwhelming the last few weeks with all the skidding going on, the quarterback issues. It's been ugly. But don't forget, they started strong this year. 2 top 5 finishes in their first 3 games. They showed the ability to get to the passer, to turn over the ball. They've had some injuries that those guys are now coming back to full health. and they're going to be getting a Pittsburgh team that has given up the 4th most points to defenses, has not scored 20 points in a single game. They're giving up 3 sacks in 3 of their games so far this year. Very, very turnover prone. Pickett loves to just air it out, and it has not been pretty. So given that they're averaging 16.2 points per game, the Steelers are 3rd worst in the league. Given that his Miami defense is better than what they've shown these last few weeks, definitely a viable streamer for Sunday Night Football. And the last defense I'll highlight, and then hit all your questions, Wolfpack. Thanks again for your patience getting there. But the Kansas City Chiefs at the 49ers, I think, could be a sneaky defensive play. What's the recipe for getting a good defensive performance against the 49ers is forcing Jimmy G to throw. What's the Kansas City defense good? Just absolutely forcing your hand, dictating the pace of play, dictating what your offense is going to have to do, because they are leading the NFL, the Chiefs are, in points, often leading to offenses having to throw against them. When that's the recipe, the 49ers are not a good matchup for defenses when they can bleed the clock, they get on top of you, they swallow you with their pass rush. But when this defense is banged up, and it was brutal last week, I think the Chiefs are going to have no problem putting up 30-plus points on them, forcing Jimmy G out of his comfort zone, forcing him to throw. And that's when the San Francisco offense has been so vulnerable. In fact, they've given up the 8th most points to defenses on the year, and that's clear-cut when that actually happens. In the last 4 games since Jimmy G took over as a starter, against Denver, they were forced to throw 16 points for the defense. Against Atlanta last week, which, again, is pathetic that this defense gave up so many points to Atlanta, and they were forced into a negative game script against Atlanta. What do you think is going to happen against the Chiefs? But against Atlanta, the 3rd highest scoring defense of the week with 13 points last week. I think you could definitely expect something similar in terms of 13 to 15-point upside for a Chiefs defense that, yeah, they're not great, but they can sure turn over the ball. I think this is a great spot for them given the game script. We will see. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.